Greetings, super friends. Jonathan Levy here, and today I'm very excited to bring you guys a special conversation with one of the preeminent language learning experts in the world, in my opinion, Gabriel Wyner. If you guys haven't heard of Gabriel, he is the author of the book Fluent Forever, which is my go-to book for language learning. He's also developing some stuff that you guys are going to hear about today. Gabriel's been on the podcast before. We've talked about language learning before, but today I specifically wanted to talk about a very troubling issue with accelerated learning, especially as it is with languages today, and that is spaced repetition. I know that at the end of the day, if I've referred 100,000 of you guys to use Anki spaced repetition software, less than 1,000 of you probably actually use it day to day. And that's because Anki is this big platform that has so many features and it's so powerful and it can do so many different things, but that creates this barrier to entry where in order to use the product, you actually have to take a full-on 3-hour online education course in how to program your cards and how to organize them and how to customize them, sync them, design them. It's a lot, and it's a problem that I've really been focused on for a long time, and I've tested out all the different alternatives out there, from Memrise to Duolingo, specifically for language learning and also for other kinds of learning challenges. And Gabe also identified this issue. In fact, a few years ago, we were going to build a language learning course together. We both ended up getting really, really busy, me with Super Learner Academy and him with an app called Fluent. And it's a spaced repetition app, which you're going to learn all about. You're going to learn about why spaced repetition is so important in this conversation for any kind of learning that you want to reinforce, but you're also going to learn about the ways that Gabriel and his team are actually trying to change the fact that spaced repetition is very hard to get into and it's confusing and it's not very user-friendly. Because it's such a powerful tool, I really thought that it was important to bring you guys this conversation to get Gabriel to show us what he's building, offer you guys an opportunity to get months and months of use of this software free, to get access to this software before anybody else, and to start understanding how Gabriel learns languages. I've always advocated for his book. I've always recommended his book in the course. I still recommend his book, but now you can, with the tap of a finger, use his method, which I use, his language learning methodology, very simply and easily without having to spend hours of work setting yourself up. So the app is called Fluent, that we're going to talk about today. If you guys want to learn more about Fluent and get on the early adopters list, you can visit this link, jle.vi/fluent. And if you are one of the first people in the first hour to subscribe there, you will get 3 months free, which is amazing. Besides that, guys, I highly recommend you check out all of Gabriel Wyner's stuff. Fluent Forever is his book, really brilliant. And whether or not you end up participating or using any of this stuff, I think they're going to get a lot of value out of this conversation because it's an insight into how one of the masters learns languages and how he's been able to help hundreds of thousands of people do the same. So I hope you really enjoy this conversation with Mr. Gabriel Wyner. Mr. Gabriel Wyner, good to see you, my friend. How you been?
Good to see you too. I've been pretty good. How about you?
Amazing, amazing. So, hey, I really appreciate you making the time because I understand that you are solving a problem that a lot of my students are having, and I wanted to talk to you about that and about the new application you're coming out with. But first, I want to talk a little bit about spaced repetition because, admittedly, you are one of the folks out there who got me to use Anki in part of my language learning process. And for anyone who doesn't know, Anki is a spaced repetition software platform. And therefore, I've gotten a lot of people onto Anki. But Anki has a lot of problems. And so I wanted to ask you a little bit about that and talk a little bit about how you've used Anki in the past and why you're now looking into alternative solutions for spaced repetition.
Sure. Yeah. Let's get into it.
So Anki, for those who don't understand, is really like a platform. And I think one of the big problems with it is that it's far too flexible in that you can modify the format of the cards, you can have audio, text, pictures, different orders, different ways of displaying the cards, you can customize the HTML to how the cards display. And I think what happens there is it creates this huge barrier to entry, whereas I know when I refer someone to use Anki, like if I have a language learning partner or a student, if I tell them to use it, I know there's a 90% chance that they're going to drop off before they ever actually set the software up. Have you found that to be true?
I don't know what the drop-off rate is, but it's, I mean, my whole life has been, not life, but my whole last 5 years has been how to minimize that. It's been recording tutorial videos on my website. It's been trying to, baby step people in. My pronunciation trainers, for instance, like I've been developing pronunciation training apps for the last 4 years, and they haven't been apps; they've been Anki content.
Yeah.
And the installation video for those is 45 minutes long, and there's a reason for that. Like it's that I could make an app that packages it and makes it really, really easy, but then you have a 3-hour sort of learning curve afterwards, or you could just do 45 minutes with my app initially, and then you have a 2-hour learning curve afterwards. And I feel like if someone's already invested the time in my app, then they're more likely to not drop off when they hit Anki.
Right.
And my main priority is like if they use my app and then stop, then they haven't learned a language, and I've failed.
Precisely.
And so like I've done everything I possibly can other than reinventing Anki to minimize this sort of drop-off thing, but it's really hard. I mean, when I used to teach workshops, I would do a 12-hour workshop, and like 6 to 8 hours of that workshop were dealing with Anki's interface.
Yeah. Now, I do want to say, although we are kind of lambasting Anki because it has become this monster that is so hard to use, I know as a memory guy, and I would hope you as a language learning guy, I'm still 100% invested in the idea of spaced repetition. I still think, and I tell people, even the more memory experts that I've talked to, it really is the only way. No amount of memory technique is going to compensate for intelligent practice and repetition over time. Do you still feel as dedicated to SRS as a whole as you were when you wrote Fluent Forever?
I mean, not just that. I mean, yes, but honestly, I don't feel like Anki has failed really in any way in terms of what it is doing. I feel like it's important for there to be a platform like that is that flexible.
Right.
Like I learned writing style from Anki.
Yeah.
Like
I learned
I
piano,
literally
the keys on the piano from Anki. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an incredible tool, and it would be a shame if it didn't exist. I think that it's so important for there to be a tool like Anki, and for there to specifically be Anki. Like it's
Right.
grown over the years to fit the needs of everybody,
Right.
and it's the platform that you need to be able to use if you want to be able to do really intense memory stuff.
Right.
My main thing is that it's not for the mainstream audience who just wants to do one task, which is, for instance, language learning or learning the piano or learning to write or stuff. Like single-use tools will be a better fit for that particular use, because then you don't need the flexibility, and then you can, in exchange for the lack of flexibility, you can do something much easier.
I agree.
But yeah, spaced repetition all the way.
Yeah, I agree, and I wish if I had a chance to sit down with the developer of Anki, who you can tell is a software developer, and was like, well, I could make it do this, and it's like feature creep. And he's built something amazing, but I wish I could just sit him down and say, look, dude, like build a light version that doesn't allow me to customize cards, that doesn't allow me to get into the nitty gritty of like, what's intervals do I want to plug in, and doesn't allow me to like customize the design and the sync function. Like, I just want to tell it, here's the stuff that I want to learn. I want to learn it. Do I want to learn it backwards and forwards, or just one way, for example? And, is it 3 pieces of data that need to, and kind of like narrow it down so it's not this big behemoth monster. And I understand that's kind of what you've been doing recently with your project Fluent. So tell me a little bit about that. I tried to download the app. I was really excited, but I couldn't get the beta testing software to work on my phone. So I'm really excited to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, the main goal of this thing was I have a very, very set workflow when it comes to learning languages. Mm-hmm. There are really important ingredients in terms of creating flashcards that I can't do with, at the moment, I can't do with any other platform. Anki is the only one that lets me do it.
Right.
The flashcards are too complex. They involve sound files and audio files, sound files and image files, and lots of different chunks of information. Collecting that information is part of the learning process for my whole language learning method. And so I can't just package it either. Like there's not the option of just saying, here's a bunch of vocabulary packs, go download them and buy them and then learn vocabulary, because then no one will learn that stuff at all.
Well, because people need to choose their own markers, their own visual images that are emotionally relevant to them, kind of like we teach in our course, right?
Yes, and they need, like, it's the word choice is like really important there. Like people, the really like individual images are not so important. The individual, like which, am I using this dog or that dog? The point is simply that you made a choice in the process,
Right.
that you had some involvement. And like, I can't take that away from my users. But what I can do is say, okay, well, what is all of the busy work involved? What is, me typing in the word that I want to learn? Am I learning much from that process of typing?
Right.
Like, maybe a little bit, but barely. Am I learning anything from giving my users a word list and then having them copy and paste a word? Like, no,
Right.
they're not learning anything from the copy and paste maneuver. And are they learning anything from copying and pasting that thing like 6 times like they need to for my flashcards? Like, definitely not.
Right.
Searching different websites, are they like setting up the whole idea of a multi-search script that I have on my site where it searches 5 websites at once? Like, the setup, useless. Like, that's not, you're not learning language. This is all learning how to do computer stuff.
Right.
And so all that stuff can be automated. And that's sort of been the goal of this app is create a tool that basically all it does is gives you easy access to sentences, or allows you really easily to input your own sentences. And dump those sentences into your head in an immersive fashion, in a fashion that involves images and sounds and the target language, but doesn't involve English.
And then obviously relies on your many years of experience choosing the right words to learn in the right order based on, thousands of people who've read your books and obviously all the languages that you've learned. So it's relying not only on just automating and getting all this upfront kind of overhead out of the way, but also leaning on this advantage that it's built by you.
That's there, and I wanted to make sure people still have the flexibility to choose their own paths, because that's another essential part of this learning thing, is that if you're looking through a sentence and you're like, oh, that sentence involves the word watermelon, I don't care about that word. You don't need to start creating flashcards for watermelon.
Right.
And so it is a very much user-directed learning experience, and that's sort of like really key to it, is that like if you're going to be learning something, you should be making all of the choices. And all I'm doing is saying, here's a suggested order. Here's a way you can go through this and go off path. Like, you're encouraged to go off path. Like, go run free. But here's, if you want a path, go walk on this one.
That's precisely the angle that we take. Anyone who's taken our course knows we follow the Malcolm Knowles, requirements of adult andragogy, which says that adult learners, the adult brain, needs to create its own learning environment, needs pressing need. So if you don't need the word watermelon, you're going to have a hell time learning it. And I love that you and I, we agree on so much of the visual memory techniques. We still don't agree on memory palaces, but we'll get there. And we agree on so much of, a lot of the way that I learn languages is mostly shaped really by your book. So I wanted to ask you, can we see the app?
Yes, you absolutely can. Yeah,
amazing.
As long as we can
Sneak
navigate
preview.
this
You guys saw it here
Sneak
first.
Preview an app. Let's see. Do you see it?
Pretty.
Cool. So this is the app. Basically, it's like the structure of it is really similar to Anki in the sense that you have some area to study your old stuff, to do reviews. And you have areas, and the new stuff, really, the shift from Anki is that the iPhone app has an area for creating flashcards.
Yeah, and also...
Go on, yeah.
Okay, I have a lot of questions already.
Yeah.
The first question is, it's doing, when you say, like Anki, it does all the spaced repetition, it's doing all that, hey, this was easy for this person, so let's not bring it up as much. It's doing that seamlessly. It's not in your face like Anki is, from what I can
Yeah,
see.
when you're looking at it, really all you're looking at are flashcards, and so they'll be you'll be able to sort of Tinder your way through your flashcards. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong?
Tinder, like that.
Right. They'll have audio in terms of every sentence that is included in the packaging, like in terms of, we'll talk about the sentences that are included for this sort of recommended route through. All of those sentences have recordings, and so you're always sort of getting exposed to audio content.
Wow.
We might see like 600 Blanco cards in a row. We'll see. No, we don't. It might be Cielo though. And
so it's either you know it or you don't know it, and it's doing all the algorithm of spaced repetition behind the scenes.
Yes, and instead of some of my users were like, hey, I like the idea of being able to say, this is easy, this was hard, this was like medium. And sort of instead of that, what it's doing is it's keeping track of your response rate, how fast you're responding.
Ah, that's brilliant.
and using that as a kind of difficulty marker and ignoring the times when you just space out. So if you see
that.
like a minute pause, then it's going to throw out that data. But it's going to try to get some tendencies from how well you know this based on how long you're sitting there staring at the card going, I don't quite remember.
Is pretty cool. And then obviously people are choosing these images. And if they wanted to, I mean, we always tell people, you know, choose an image that I think I may have gotten this from you, but, you know, cielo, you might not just want to choose the word for or a picture of a ceiling. You may actually want to use like a seal on the ceiling. So you could take a picture and put a picture of a seal on the ceiling so you remember the word based on that kind of image. Really cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
Really cool.
There was some goal of having the ability to add in things like mnemonics and notes and stuff, mostly on the back sides of the cards for notes and things. This is sort of an early version. No, actually, this is the backside. And so we have sort of this expansion area. There's an area to edit things. If you wanted to start changing, if you saw a card and you saw an error in it or something you wanted to change, you can immediately edit your cards.
Yeah.
And so, so this is like, this stuff is mostly like a repackaging of what already exists. Like you are able to make flashcards of this type in Anki. That's what I have been doing for the last years. But it's mostly the creation process that's important to kind of address.
And just getting over, like we said earlier, that boundary to use. The other thing that I actually really like is, so I've got Anki loaded up on my phone. I deleted the Facebook app and I replaced it with Anki in the place so that if I'm sitting, you know, when you're like bored, if I'm sitting there, I should go to Anki where Facebook used to be and I should load stuff up, but I don't. And I realized the reason that I don't is because I have to make a lot of decisions. I'm like, well, which deck am I going to open? I have grammar, I have Russian cursive, I have vocabulary, I have pronunciation decks. It's a pain in the ass, and so I end up not doing anything. It's easier for me to just open up New York Times and read the headlines than do that. And so I don't end up opening Anki. What I like about this is I noticed the old stuff is all mixed together. So there's some grammar in there, there's some vocabulary. And it's also, I have very simple decisions of like, okay, I'm not going to do pronunciation right now because I'm on the bus. Whereas it's not about like, oh, I've got these 5 decks, which one do I open up? And, well, I've been neglecting this one. So it really takes all that overhead out and just puts the focus on actual learning, which I like.
Yeah, and that's absolutely been one of the key goals of this thing is just make it like there's not that many choices. You want to learn a language or not? Like,
that's brilliant. What else can you show us?
Sure, lots of things. The first chunk of the Fluent Forever stuff has always been learn pronunciation. The apps that I mentioned developing over the last 4 years, they basically work by looking at videos. At the moment on YouTube, you look at 3 videos or 4, depending upon your language, on consonants, vowels, and not conjugations, but actually spelling rules.
Great.
And right now, you have to just go through your README file or a website and click on the 3 videos and watch them. And then you install the Anki deck, and then you get your Anki deck synced to your phone and to your tablet and all this. This is just a repackaging of that. And so inside the app, you already have the videos. You just tap on the video you want to watch. You watch all 3. Once you're done, you hit the done button, and it will add the whole pronunciation trainer to your flashcard deck.
Brilliant.
The end. Like, it's just a repackaging of what exists, but instead of a 45-minute installation video, it's 0 minutes. You just do the thing.
I love that, and I think this is going to do so much for language learning because everyone opens up Duolingo because it's easy. They've taken all the decision-making process out. It's just open it and do. The problem with Duolingo is the language learning aspect of it kind of sucks. Like, you can tell that they're not really language learners. They're very, very slick developers who can make beautiful interfaces. But in terms of like, spaced repetition, not that great, and order of what words you're learning when, not that great. So I love that this adds that Duolingo level of ease with the Gabriel Wyner level of like, hey, let's learn in an intelligent, accelerated way.
Duolingo is sort of restricted in the sense that their product are the users. Their product are to get the users to translate things, and that forces them to stick to translation. Honestly, even if they had really, really good pedagogues there, they're still sort of stuck in this thing because they need to make their users translate things.
Right.
And as long as you're going to be translating all day as a user, you're not training the ability to think in your target language.
Cool.
And so it's sort of always handcuffed to that thing.
Was there anything else you wanted to show us in the app before we get back? Yeah,
absolutely. So the main sort of core chunk of this thing is there is the ability. I'll do this bottom section, learn more words. There's the ability to sort of write in your own sentences and stuff. We'll have a web app for this so that you can dump in a lot of sentences at once.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, there is always that flexibility there. But in terms of what you can do with these sentences, we have these word lists that we've already developed over the last 4 years of a suggested order with which you should learn your words. And within these, and if you want to, you can grab any word on this list and you can jump over to, I don't know, Cielo, and learn it with some pictures. Brilliant. And it will live search if we have, come on, internet. We'll have everything pre-cached once we do that.
Yeah, so it's digesting the sentences that you put in and breaking them down into their components of grammar and words, vocabulary.
Yes, right.
Wow.
Come on, give me images. Let me shut off my Wi-Fi. Maybe that'll go faster. My Wi-Fi is a little sad right now.
Well, we're also video broadcasting, so it's
I know
it's
a
like a
lot
of bandwidth. How
is the Wi-Fi still on? Oh, if it's not going to load images, it's going to be sad. In either case, it will give you a live image search thing from Google, showing you the top 8 images for Cielo, and then you can kind of keep going and look for more.
Boom, 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 boom. Gets all the process and procedure out of the way, so you can just learn the damn language already.
Yeah, and the goal really was to make actually this sentence thing the easiest thing. Like, yes, you can learn pictures, like attach a picture to a word, and that's great. But what would really be excellent is being able to learn things in the context of sentences. And so, what we tried to do is, with every single word in this 625 word list, we're including 3 sentences, each sort of simple, medium complexity, and then advanced complexity, that we've made on our own that are not just translations of some English sentences, but are done individually, language by language.
Very cool.
That also include grammatical information, meaning that if you have conjugated verbs in there, if the target word that you're trying to learn is inflected in some manner, that's also in the database, and so it will automatically spit out cards that deal with conjugation.
And I wonder if you guys plan in the future also to be able to customize my own images. Because as I'm looking at the images you choose, it's a little bit different from the way I would do it. Like if I wanted to learn the word blanco, I would go to, Orange is the New Black. There's a character called Blanca, and that's how I would learn it. Instead of putting a picture of white rice, and I would say maybe Blanca with arrows, el arroz blanco, because that's how I would get to the sounds. And that's how we teach people to learn vocabulary, is take sounds that already kind of signify. So is there going to be an ability to kind of customize or draw in my own images? Wow.
Let me see if I can. Oh, no, I can't have that. Let me see if I can get to that thing through maybe ScreenFlow. We created an image search engine that, maybe I can show actually the alternate one. Let me see if I can get there. I'm going to switch back to my face for a second.
Sure.
And then reset the video because I think it popped out. Hi. We hired 2 app houses to make proofs of concept for our thing. And oh no, is it seriously just crashing? All right. Basically, what we did, what we created was an image search engine where it will first live search the word and give you the top 8 results for that word. If you want more, you'll hit the find button. And then it will bring up our image search engine. The way that image search engine works is there's a text box in the center that allows you to type in whatever you want. So you can search for your Orange is the New Black characters as you wish.
Yeah.
But in addition, since it's kind of annoying to type on a phone, we wanted to sort of make that as rare as possible.
Sure.
And so we have the target sentence that you're learning, like you're learning the word in the context of the rice is white, or the white dog is running down the street. And so you have that sentence in English and in Spanish. Brilliant. And you can tap on any words in either of the languages, and it will show up searches for, arroz blanco or perrito blanco or white dog, and they'll all be different because the target language is different.
Brilliant.
And you can just see those results. You can scroll through more of them if you want to see the top 20, 30, 40, whatever, and then choose the ones you want. And you can choose multiple images too. So that's kind of been the goal, is make image search as easy as possible, because if any user comes in and they're like, I want Orange is the New Black character right now, I want you to be able to get that pretty much instantly.
Incredible. So, Gabe, I know we're running out of time here. I want to be respectful. As I understand, this app is not out. I've given everyone in the audience a URL where they can actually get in line to be one of the first people to use this app. I'll put it in the intro, but I'll also mention it now. It's jle.vi/fluent. Tell us a little bit about what the process is. We're recording this right now, second week of September, 2017. So what's the timeline going to be looking like that we can actually get our hands on this product? Because I'm still learning Russian, and I'm now dating a local here. So I'm learning a ton of new Hebrew words at like the highest level, legalese and stuff. So I really want to get my hands on this app.
On September 19th at 4 p.m. UK time, it's like 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. I don't know what that would be. I guess it would be actually exactly now. What time is it now in Israel?
Right now it is 6 p.m.
It would be 6 p.m. in Israel. At that time on September 19th, the Kickstarter goes live.
Awesome.
For people who are on the mailing list, who pledge in the first hour, they're getting 3 extra bonus months of subscription.
Amazing.
So
basically, anyone who hits the link that we mentioned before, the jle.vi/fluent, they'll get 3 months free of this app.
If they can pledge in the first hour, yeah. So like
Brilliant.
Set your calendar, your alarm, because we found apparently if you can fundraise a whole bunch in that first hour, then you go on the front page of the Kickstarter website for like 2 weeks.
Great. And is it going to be costly to use this app, or what are people looking at?
The Kickstarter, basically joining the Kickstarter at any of the base, at the $40 pledge level or above, gives you a lifetime discount of 33%. We're doing a subscription rate of $12 a month for the full version and $8 a month for a sort of basic version that restricts our image search. The main thing we found with this app is that getting the really integrated, nice image search, we have to pay for every image search through Google. And so we need to have a subscription model.
Got it.
So we have a base rate for $6 a month that basically is like functional for pretty much most casual users, but for people who really want to I want to search for Orange is the New Black characters all the time. They're going to want to have unlimited image search. But yeah, we have those 2 rates, and then for Kickstarter people, that's $8 a month and $4 a month.
Brilliant.
And then those rates drop drastically if they're getting them in advance. So the various Kickstarter levels are various sort of 1 month, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. And we also have lifetime membership things where it's just
cool.
I want to learn this language from start to finish. I don't want to worry about a month-to-month thing. There's a lifetime thing for that too.
That's what I was going to ask. Well, I think this is awesome. I'm really excited about it. I know you and I were going to build a language learning course together, but I'm really glad you did this instead, because I think, if we went and built a language learning course that was based on your book and my memory stuff and Anthony's memory stuff, at the end of the day, we would still have to be referring people to Anki. And I think that's the problem in some sense. Not that Anki is the evil, but that's what's stopping people like me from perfecting my Russian is I just can't motivate myself to tinker around with Anki. And I know my decks aren't perfectly optimized, and sometimes weird words like trubka pop up. And I'm like, why do I know the word for pipe in Russian? Like, why did you pop that up to me now? So I think it's really important what you guys are doing. I'm really excited for the app. I will be pledging in the first hour because I happen to have a time zone advantage where I won't be in bed. But for people who want to check it out, it's jle.vi/fluent. The app is called Fluent. It comes out September 19th. Gabriel Wyner, I want to thank you. I'm really excited, as always, about your work, but this one especially.
Well, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon.
All right.